Vanakkam. This is Hyder Ali Sayyed from Asivagam, United Under Tamil.
Or whatever. We could talk about the title, we could talk about Africa, we could talk about America, Asia, Europe. Does not matter. But I think the title is what brought all of us in here.
Well, let's talk about Adamites in general, because again, if I think that ultimately, if they're saying is Noah a Tamil, we would have to look into the seed of Noah, who is Noah's father, and what would classify Noah as a Tamil? What classifies anyone as a Tamil? So, like, say for example, we go back to Abraham. Does he have a connection to the Tamil or the people of India? The question would be yes. Does Noah and his descendants, or Adam and his descendants, such as Cain, do any of them have connections to the people of that territory?
Yes, but one thing, it is just a handful of us who were brought up with the studies on Bible or Quran, where we engage with different people on discussion with what is being said in Torah or Bible. So when they talk about these is when that we recognize that these words are Tamils and we talk about it. But otherwise, if you come across a Tamilian, he would be just living his life. And probably he won't be even knowing or not even bothered about what other religions or anything is being said. And he just live his life. With the max, besides what they do, what they would like to know would be what it says in literature to live a life. They keep reading the literature, especially the one specific one. There is Quran, because most of our guidelines to live a life of virtue, it's never said on the basis of any religion or God. Not most, actually all. The primary thing for Tamils is Tirukkural. And Tirukkural, it talks about almost everything. About a person, a society, a personal relationship, love, war, administration, and how a king should be, how a citizen should be, how a layman should be, that everything is said, what kind of thoughts we should have as a foundation for all of our actions. That has been said. And such thing that very commonly, even a 6-year-old boy would say at least one. And this particular book is about, by linguistic scholars, being dated for about 2,600. There are 5 books which are the oldest, all like dating the same period, 2,500 years. Tirukkural is something like that. So none of it talks about like made as rules or like a to-do list and must do by a god or religion or anything. Nothing. So this is what they know, because we listen to this when people talk about it, but none of our literature talks about let's say who was the first man, second man, and no, that kind of business is no. It is the primary focus is about and how we have to live as a person, as a family, as an ethnic, and as a society, and as a country. And how do we evolve? The primary teaching is Yadum Ore Yavarum Kelir, which means that everything is our place, and everybody are our kith and kin, our relatives. This is how it starts. So this is the basic. But here, that yes, because we know about it, we grew up with that. We talk about like this. So based on the, but of course, Tamils do research about other civilizations like the Mesopotamian Mari Kingdom, and they will have certain hunch and assumptions and thoughts based on the linguistic references, based on the place name, based on the person's name, or they will have all that idea. But they won't. They would never go and profess that to people and to constantly. If someone asks, yeah, I think like it should be that way, and we just say it, they move on with that. There is nothing to feel great about it or anything, but every Tamil will say that, yeah, these are the things, yes, we know, but like, yeah, I don't know, for some reason, linguistic scholars don't want to talk about it. So they close it. And they don't basically care, why someone don't talk about this ethnic or anything. They don't care why historians, anthropologists don't talk. Anthropologists, like, there is no way they can, archaeologists, they cannot do excavations in proper places. It is because, for one simple reason, that is, if an archaeologist want to excavate 1,000 square feet, they have to acquire 10,000 square feet in that region, and they excavate to locate the specific place. They have to dig into another 10, 15 different places, then finally identify the right place. That is not at all possible for Tamil land. It is because the oldest cities are being inhabited continuously for a very long time. To say about it, the oldest city, Madurai, which is my native place, this has been a city of multi-linguistic as well as ethnic, multi-tribes for a very, very, very long time. Probably about like 3,000 plus. So there is no way that archaeologists can come and touch this land because they'll have to evacuate about 100,000 people, and they'll have to do that. Very difficult. So yeah. So these are the things everybody knows. So, but whatever it is being done, it is being done in a remote places where somebody's farmhouse, and there they, for some reason, they would be digging. Once they find something different, then the information would go to the local administrator, who we call Dasildar. Every place will have one. And then once he come and do the inspection with the village administrative officer to BDM, block development officer, I guess, and then Tahsildar, all of them will come in a team and see that to which department they will have to inform, and that department will come and acquire the place. There's a long process for that. So only those areas are being excavated, long forgotten, abandoned. The one became even a paddy field. Only there, archaeologists can actually touch. Even in archaeology, when they want to touch and to find out, be it anthropologist or archaeologist, whoever it is, there is a state government thing is there, that the state will, once state government gives permission, only then central government can come and do it. And when central government do it, and we have a major conflict between us, the central government, whereas central government is totally ruled by people who we call outsiders, and they basically don't care what happens in our what they find in our place, and they basically don't care about our ethnicity. So all these things are there. So there is no way that certain things can be done here. So what we do is we look into all this. For example, let's say Abraham lived in a place called Ur. in all over the world, you see that, I'm not sure about Eritrea though, the city names or town names is not Ur and doesn't end with Ur. You can find that kind of names in and around of that region. The next you can find is almost 90% of the Tamil towns and cities and villages. Everything ends with Ur, because in our Tamil word, Ur means settle, a place of three different tribes' settlements. The first of all, a settlement means here that one specific tribe's houses. If different tribes' houses are in one place, these will be known as, if it is just two or three with low numbers, hundreds and thousands, then it will be known as a village, that is grama. A Ur will be that, like, it should be like at least 50,000 or 100,000 of different people, never the same people. Then city nagaram is another one. Multilingual will be there. Multilingual, linguistic people, ethnic, multi-religious, multi-habituals. So all that is included there. That would be the city. So the Ur has a meaning in our language. I doubt that about the rest of the languages. So the Mari kingdom, which is prior, which was in the peak of civilization prior to Mesopotamian, when Mesopotamia was a peaceful land. Not agricultural land, fertile land. Like Mari kingdom was a city with flourishing, flourishing as a city, and their god was Mari, M-A-R-I. All over the world, there are plenty of goddesses are there, right? So we have a god called Mari, but every goddess will have that title as Amman. Amman means mother or grandmother, Amman, or someone who is respectable Amman. Even when I call someone who is younger, respectfully, I would say that Enama, which means Enama means what? Amma. The title I will give Enama, Sarkema. So that is respectfully I would call a young one. So that Mari is a goddess here. Like what she does is their festival happens to starting with the spring goddess, you could say. So they bring happiness, prosperity, and all that. So that is Mari. I don't think worldwide is any other goddess there with the name of Mari. That much we can say. So like this we see the names of the region and cultural behavior. And I usually keep one PTR to talk about Hammurabi. The picture of Hammurabi, I keep it usually. So the reason I keep it is the clay tablet they excavated about the Hammurabi and his priest. Now, if anyone refreshes the page, you will get to know. That is the physical posture which Hammurabi does. Till today, that in our ethnic they do. In fact, someone did it to me when I was blessing her. She was young, and I had to bless her on a specific day. So when I was blessing, she went to that position to receive that blessing. This has always been mentioned that this is how we should be, because certain postures is being described that how we should be when we do different things. When we are a king, how should be how we have to keep a posture. When a king teaches, when a king make announcements, about war, about good things, about poet, how he would be, ministers, how they would be. All that is being kind of described, and this is one of it. This is for learning. When a person take the blessings and learning and listen to someone superior. So they have to be in the position. So that's a resemblance. Now I can freely speak about this because if I speak about this in different groups, they will say like immediately that I am against what is that? Yahweh. Because like by the description, you see that Israelite community would have fought with almost everyone I am talking about. I'm talking about Hammurabi, and they don't like that Babylon. They cursed big time, and they cursed about Mari Kingdom, yes. Assyrians, yes. And Philistines, yes. These are the remnants we see linguistically, culture-wise. We see that whoever we say that we were connected, and finally it comes to Cushites. They want to massacre Cushites. So that's why I disturbed yesterday. So in fact, prior to this, by 8 o'clock, I was in another Tamil room where we were discussing. That's why, I mean, that's totally in Tamil. I saw that Haidar, Nakfai, everyone were discussing this other title. We were discussing that how Jewish are against Tamils. So without attacking the prime land, they are attacking all our associated land and people, which means that their actual enmity is us. That is exactly what we were talking about. Only Tamil people were there. So they also do their work. So today we think we have come to the kind of a conclusion that this is actually these guys like me actually not attacking other people. They're actually attacking Tamils. Another thing that goes with the another one. The one they have taken it up, their symbol is our symbol. They got this Star of David, I think in the last about 1,000 years. Within the 1,000 years, they took it as, I think not even that, they took that as their identity, their symbol. But the symbol has been very, very old to us. That's a symbol of Murugan. In fact, my company logo is that. So it points out the six, what is it? Let me do. Six hills where Murugan resides. In fact, like now he has 6 names in total. He's known. That is why he is also known as like Arumugan, which means like a 6-faced god, because he has 6 names. It is not the 6. He has 6 faces, 6 names he's got. Now, if you refresh that, you would see my company logo and people. But we give the dot in within the triangle, and this we've been using it for a very long time. In fact, in a sculpture, like 2,000-year-old temple, like it has this triangle. But they are having it like in the last 100. They've taken a lot of certain symbols. That is what we were talking about. So, not Israelites, definitely the Jewish people, like absolutely. Not directly, indirectly, because in the ethnic genocide in Sri Lanka on Tamils, and we see that even their hand is there. That is the way that our Tamil people, like you brothers, talks about it. So, but absolutely none talks about it in international platforms. These talks, and no one basically cared to talk about it. We generally talk about it for us to understand. So there is always certain YouTube or voices would be there saying that the Jewish people are against us. And to say that how the connection between us and Jewish people, say that that's pretty old. almost 1,800 years or so. When these people scattered, they took the trade route and they settled in our land. And in somewhere in 1 AD, along with that, Saint Thomas actually have reached our land, other land, and the last days he lived in the same city where I'm living right now. And there was a Jewish settlement. There is a synagogue still there in Cochin, but Jewish people are not there because in later period when Mumbai became the administrative capital, when business was flourishing, all the Jewish people from our land, they moved there. But we also say that same Jewish people who became Christians, they are still living in our land, who hold the wealth and administration in a neighboring state for now, present day neighboring state, as Syrian Christians. But if you look at their rituals, their church activity, everything will be very similar to Jewish rabbis. And there is also another section who we suspect the northern Brahmins, who we call it, basically, who I call it. I call them as nomads who came from different plains into north of the world. So they mixed with the Jewish and created a community. And their community system, if you see, that who has to marry whom, that all that, it will go very, very closer to the Jewish culture. That, to give an example, and if someone had to be a rabbi, that his parents or all his ancestors should be the man and woman should be Jewish. Only then that person can be a rabbi. If there was fakes, that is, the outsiders marry a Jewish woman at any point of time, that can never become a rabbi. Something exactly the same is with this Brahmin segment. But today that they all try to pose as one, as different people, and all under disguise. So under the title Hindu, it is happening. Okay, that is the deceiving is their way of life. Never mind. But this is usually that people don't talk about these things, the enmity, and all that, because it doesn't matter. This kind of a discussion often happens in public forums with people that why different segments are being hated. They have hatred towards us. Why we have to be nice, why we have to believe in life of a virtue, all the discussion happens all the time. So, at many occasions, different people always say that the day the Tamil leaves the life of a virtue is when they actually lose their identity as Tamil. Just because people have hatred towards us or enmity towards us, to tackle that, if we lose that, then we become them. Because based on the same idea is what I was speaking earlier about, people can come with hatred and all that. Please, let's show compassion. Look them as ignorant. Help them understand. To our best. We can spend our entire life on them, but yes. So these all I mentioned about Jewish, but probably I should feel sorry. In fact, I would recommend the world must feel sorry for Jewish people. It is because of few following reasons. One, it is they were very unlike of us. They never had any land on their own, because the land what we own, it wasn't a land, it was a forest, it was a barren land. We inhabited that land, we worked on it, we made it good, we made things happen, we made the land as a finest to cultivate, to cattle breed, to live, and all that. And so that becomes ours. We made the land, so it becomes ours. That's our land. That's why it's our land. But it is so sorry to hear that, they never did that. It is because they have no skill sets at all. Absolutely no skill sets to make a land, to do things. They have to borrow from people. If people refuse to give, they have to rob from people. When robbing becomes difficult, they have to massacre people and take the way so that they are in a sorry state. So I hope that people, indigenous people, will show compassion and feel sorry for such people. And another example is based on their own narration, that even to make, though they were cattle breeders, they needed a very small tool made of iron. They needed it. They had no clue that how to make it. So they had to go to Philistine's land and make the small tool and to do it. So that's a very sorry state. And the next one, that another of the sorry story is about Egypt. Now I say that, except Jewish, rest all ignorant. It is because time and again, from their narration, for the last 2,700 years, they've been telling us, boss, we never had any skill sets. We cannot have skill sets. We cannot learn anything unless and until you teach us first. They've been saying that in different ways. We are not listening to them. So we are ignorant. So let's listen to them. Let's understand their skill set. So,
Reuben.
yes. Let me finish my favorite part, Egypt. No, please, I beg you, Nakwa, please, Nakwa. Nakwa, let me beg you, please. Thank you for your kindness. So you see that, 72 people came to Egypt. It is not that they came to live because they had so much of money or anything. Nobody went and captured them. None of the pharaohs from Egypt, they went to their land and said, yeah, guys, come be as my slave. No, they didn't do that. Of course, Joseph was sold as a slave, but he was holding a very high position. That was only him. The rest of the 72 people, they were not slaves. When they came to Egypt, their own brethren was in a very high position. The food, unlimited, was available. 72 people multiplied, and after 400 years, what did they learn? Because the description about themselves in their own book says that they were the layman in making bricks. So the hardship which they describe is they are, the Pharaoh is telling them that they have to make their own bricks. That means the kind of coolies. When there are bricks, they have to take it and keep it somewhere. Make their own bricks. And next is they have to find straws to make bricks. So after 400 years, the Israelites had only that skill set. They were not supervisors, they were not mechanics, they were not engineers, they were not planners, they were not in human resource to evaluate other skill set. They were not superiors in any cost in building a pyramid. We have to feel sorry that even after 400 years, they couldn't learn any skill set by living among the skillful people. So please, I request all of you to show compassion towards Jewish people. Thank you. That's where I land my plane, Nakwa. Thank you.
You can show them compassion. I'm not. They have lied, stolen. They have done too much. You could take that high road all you want. and then when they meet you with the sword, you tell me how that how that compassion gets you anywhere with these people. So I'm not here to coddle anybody's feelings. I'm here to tell the truth, set it right, and keep it moving.
Can I go on with Babylonian part? And that let me go on till Germany, that so that at least you will show some kindness, because after 2000 years also they haven't learned anything. That is their state of mind. Please show some mercy.
Mercy? Where's the mercy for our people?
And next level of question, I think says that Nabat will enter in this. See, after 2,700 years, they don't have any skill set, but they still strongly believe that they will raise an army and they will kill God. They will.
History. That is a good skill set. They steal people's history. That to be other people. This is a great skill set. What do you mean?
Yeah, manipulation is great. Yeah, and so imagine their dreams. Oh, okay, what happened to him? So now, Nakfa, it is your topic. So after 2,000 years, with no skill set, they still believe that they will raise an army against what's the Magog. We don't care who that is, Gog and Magog or whichever. But they these allies, that Cushites and everyone, they're gonna come destroy their lands without any skill set. Without a skill set, they have a belief that they can destroy the people who belong to the land, who has a lot of skill set. So that confidence, you may call it blind confidence, but that confidence should be admired, because now I am becoming a fan of Jewish people and their beliefs, because I love that confidence. Imagine a person have absolute no skill set, but they believe that in future that they'll raise an army and fight with the indigenous people who have too many skill set and to win the war. That confidence should be admired. What do you say, Nakba?
I do not admire crackheads. Crazy people, I do not admire them. Crazy people, I meet them every day, and they have an amazing skill set. They believe they can do everything, but then when you ask them to do it, they cannot do it. So that's nothing I admire. There's nothing about them I admire.
I'm actually seriously that even though I was angry yesterday and refuted and rejected their story, but I would really love to see that what kind of a war that would be that imagine. In the other hand, zero skill set, and other hand, multiple skill set, and both fight with each other. What would happen? How are they going to fight? So that's where we have to understand. They will not fight. They will say that God will fight for them. How God will fight for them? Because already a reference has been there. I think Nabat can help me on that in the Torah. That how their enemies will fight amongst each other. If you take it in a religious sense, you will fall for it. But if you take it in a literal sense, that means they will create confusion and doubt and whatever it is required for the enemy to fight among each other, which means they will create differences among the enemies, so they will fight with each other and they'll kill each other. At the end, the nomads, nomads don't need to fight, then they will say that God will never war. Period. There is a reference, right, in Nabat in Bible and in Torah about how their enemy, I think, that's Maccabees period, I think.
Well, actually, that was mentioned in the verse that you brought up the other day in the chapter, Ezekiel chapter 38. It actually mentions that about Libya, Gog and Magog, Libya, Ethiopia and Persia. It actually says that. Let me see if we can pull it back up. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse. Let me see, 21. It says, "And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, saith the Lord God. Every man's sword shall be against his brother."
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, Brother Nabat. Another thing is the country's name you mentioned, that I found it in King James Version about Ethiopia and all that, but in the original version, it says that it's a land of the Cushites and land of Punt. That is the older one, and they translate it to the present names.
What was that question again? Say that one more time.
That is an old version about this Ethiopia. Libya you mentioned, that is a translated version. The original version does not talk about Ethiopia or Libya. It talks about Cushites and land of Punt. That's one version. Maybe that's another word you're talking about. Okay.
No, you're right. You're right. That's just how they translate it. But yeah, it's actually mentioned in Cush and Punt.
It's very serious stuff, gentlemen. Anyway, let's see that as days goes by. But one thing Earthians have to remember: what is the point in talking about our strength and winning a war? The present state is like a weak. The reason the country is weak, it is. Don't think that I'm giving great advice because we are in the worst state. We don't even have a country. Okay, please, I'm saying it in that state. So, because we still, we make sure that we strengthen ourselves. Important thing is like education and a good profession. That is like commonly being understood without even discussing among each other. We will evolve to a much better state, yes. That will always be a fine day. So now you already got the fine day, that is a land on your own. Maybe some territory disputes, but the primary focus, people have to strengthen themselves. It is not by war, it is not by weapon, it is not by physics, it is by the mind. So it has to be there, and it is by luck. The last 200 years, people found so many books to guide us and to understand things better. Yes, we have strength now. That is not the case 200 years prior. Before that, we're absolute weak. We were literally dog ages for 500 years or 600 years, I guess, after our Pandyan dynasty ended in 1375. After that, now we are kind of waking up, you can say. So then goes that learning and other part and strengthening ourselves and keep going. And till the fine day, it is a desire of almost every thought. But it's just that we don't keep talking about it, except you, yes. So you have a country, there are disputes, fine. The leaders have to decide that how we have to go along. Go with the neighboring not countries, because they also belong to the same tribe, similar tribe, interrelated tribes, right? And because the important thing is that each citizen of the country should strengthen himself, with education and wisdom. That is the most important. And dig that 200 pyramids, because I'm hoping that you will find a lot of gold in there, so that will make your place a richest place.
Satyam prolonging due to four beastly regime disguised as Muslim world. Satyugam possible only through straight path of first Siddhartha Shiva.